5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Ryan Chatfield Show. I'm your host, Ryan Chatfield, and this is the third episode of the show. And today we have an amazing guest. You won't want to miss it. He's a professional snooker player, also known as the Tyneside Terror. It's Gary Wilson. How's it going, Gary?
Hi, mate. You all right? Hi. Absolutely spot on. I'm just really happy to help you out and do this podcast. I know there'll hopefully be a few people wanting to watch.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking the time to come on us. It's really appreciated. So I think a first question probably get started is right at the start of your career. You're a young lad. What first got you into snooker?
First of all, young lad, it's generous of you. Thanks very much. 35. I'm not feeling so young anymore, but it's the same story as a lot of players, really. Just I had a little table for Christmas when I was a toddler and played on that. It was like a little 4 foot by 2 foot table that I used to play on. Well, from the ages of sort of, I think it was about 2.5, 3 year old, I got it and played on that till I was about 8 years old. So my dad could see when I was beating him as a kid in the house that I had a bit of talent. Sort of straight away, he taught us how to like do the bridge hand and the basic cue action and things. And I was starting to beat him in the house and stuff. So by the time I was 8 years old, he took us down the proper snooker club in Wallsend, the Super Snooker, it was called. And just went from there. As soon as I got on the proper big tables, I'd been watching it on the telly beforehand, and I really, really wanted to play on a proper full size table. And when I did, I was getting better and better quite quickly. So turned into something I knew I wanted to do forever. After only a year or so, really, since I was 9-10 years old, I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Because I've read online that apparently at the 9 years of age, you went on to the Big Break show. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was with help from a guy called Stan Chambers. Unfortunately, he just passed away a couple of weeks ago as well, which is really sad news for me and for the whole area who were involved in snooker, because the Northeast was basically pretty much ran by Stan, to be honest. He was like the ambassador for the whole area with snooker. And I mean, everything went through him, and he was such an influential person with snooker in the whole area that it's really sad that he's passed away. But he actually got us into the big break. I think really he was in contact with the BBC. It was just as I was starting to really play as well. I was only 9, and I think he made a few phone calls basically to people he knew in the BBC. That he realised there was this junior version of Big Break coming on, and he pushed like mad to get me on it, and thankfully I did, and had another 2 stabs at it for a couple of years after that as well. It was great. It was a really fun show to be a part of.
Yeah, so that sounds like you've had, some great time. It's pretty much started since you were born, pretty much. And so while you were growing up, and seeing that you had quite a good talent into snooker, which was there any particular player or players that you looked up to while you were growing up? Yeah,
mainly Stephen Hendry, if I'm honest. I mean, obviously the two back then when I was starting, was like the mid '90s. The two that were always in world finals were Stephen Hendry and Jimmy White. And one of my earliest memories sort of watching snooker properly on the telly was watching the 94 final with Jimmy and Stephen. And just watching that go all the way to 17 all. And I vividly remember watching that. And obviously that inspired us to play even more, Jimmy was sort of the one everybody wanted to win. He got into so many finals and he was like the crowd favourite. So I wanted Jimmy to win, but at the same time, I had more kind of respect for Hendry. He was more my like snooker hero, if you know what I mean, like what I would want to aspire to be more like if I was going to play professionally or anything like that. So yeah, Hendry basically, but Jimmy was the one I wanted to win.
Well, I think, he was the people's champion at the end of the day, Jimmy. So of course you're a professional now. So I read online that you were a taxi driver before you did become a professional. So I was just wondering if you could tell us how you worked hard, as well as being a taxi driver, and how eventually you did become a professional.
So I had to go on the tour for a couple of years, dropped off unfortunately, and then obviously by that time I'm sort of 20, 21 years old, and snooker wasn't doing too well at the time neither. I mean, back in that period there was only like 6 ranking tournaments a year in the Masters, pretty much. So it was spread right out across the year. You'd play in a tournament in the qualifying, and you wouldn't have another tournament for maybe a month or two. So long story short, a couple of years goes by, you're not making any money playing snooker or anything really. I'm not on the tour anymore, trying to get back on. Yeah. And it just progressed from there, from doing bar work to progressing up in the hours there. And then I went to actually work in a factory called Findus, which you'll probably have heard of, where crispy pancakes were made and all that from Findus. And my mum used to work there for like a couple of years. She worked there for a long time, for a lot of years, but she worked there for a couple of years where she was saying there's an agency work coming in now and I can get a job there.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I might as well. I started part-time there and actually turned into full-time. And it just went on from there for a few years where I was doing more and more work to the point where I was working full-time in the factory, getting sick of it though, playing snooker at the same time. But thought, if I'm going to play snooker, and it was still what I wanted to do and what I believed I was capable of doing. So it turned from doing full-time work in a factory to saying, look, I'm sick of this now. And I found taxi driving to be a better alternative because I could work my own hours. I could work for myself, self-employed pretty much basically, and just work my snooker hours around working as well, taxi driving. So for me, it was just the best way to do things. Done that for 5 years in total, but I was actually still taxi driving when I turned professional again the second time. I got back on in 2013. Yeah. And I was still taxi driving from the start of that season all the way through to the January or February. So once I realised I was doing well enough and making good enough money though, and thought, this is going to be pretty consistent with the snooker hopefully now, that's when I decided to knock the taxi in on the head and just give snooker the 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think that just shows, I think anyone listening, who's, maybe not on the tour, anything like that, I think it shows that, determination and drive gets you to where your goal is, even as you've been knocked down, you still work your way back up, and obviously now the determination and drive has obviously paid off very well. And you've been on the tour for quite a while now.
Definitely. I mean, what I would say, I hear a lot of people do say when they're trying to do well in any sport, not just snooker, that you can't do both at the same time. Now, I tend to disagree with that. I understand the sentiment of that if you're going to do something and you're going to be like a professional in any sport, you need to give it your full concentration, your full commitment. Yes, you do. But I think sometimes for some people, it's a bit of an easy cop-out to just say, oh, you can't do anything else. Well, you can. Look, at the end of the day, you need to make money, and you've just got to space your time out better throughout the day. And it's as simple as that, really, because you can make excuses all you want, but there's no stopping you playing enough hours in the day, say snooker, doing 3 or 4 hours a day, but also working full time. It just depends on how much you want it and how much you're prepared to sacrifice a few things. I was working maybe 6, 7 in the morning till 3, 4 in the afternoon. I would come home, get ready, get sorted, go out to the club for a few hours, and you can do both. It's just managing the time, and you don't need to be doing 7, 8 hours a day to get to a point where you can turn professional. If you're good enough, you're good enough to an extent. And as long as you're putting in enough work and doing a few hours, there's no reason why you can't at least get to that stage where you're professional now. It obviously changes when you're then starting to increase your ambitions and trying to get higher in the rankings and do well in tournaments and even win tournaments. Yeah, obviously does need your full commitment then. But earlier on, I wouldn't say so much. And that's what I just had to try and do, was just space my time out as well as I could, work and snooker at the same time. And luckily it worked out.
Well, yeah, as I said, drive and determination, you obviously had that and it's paid off well. And I think the drive and determination must have been there for your amazing 2019 World Championship campaign, because that, if you look at the perspective of your career, that must be amazing.
Yeah, obviously it's a great time to look back on. And I do obviously now look back on it because it seems like so long ago now. And when you think it's over 2 years ago, really. So, well, coming up 2 years, isn't it now? I think so. Yeah, it's one I look back on and think, oh, that was great. It was just so nice to play in the one table setup at the Crucible. It was my ambition, like it is a lot of players' ambitions to play in that arena, is what you want to do. And anything after that, obviously, is a bonus. Once you get that far, I felt when I was at that stage, well, there's no reason now why I can't go on and win it. As silly as it may sound to some people, or it doesn't sound silly to me when you're in that position, because you're capable if you've got that far. I did know deep down that I wasn't quite playing well enough to compete over the long distances. I was playing quite well and I was doing well, but I knew deep down there was still that little bit missing that I just wasn't finding there in them couple of weeks on the practice table. So I would have loved to have gone on and win it, obviously. And I did believe still in a way that you can win it, because anything can happen in sport. You know, you get to that stage in a tournament, and there was no reason why, if I hadn't just turned it on in the last session against Judd and pipped him, there's no reason why in a one match scenario in the final of the World Championship you can't do it. You know, players have done it before. So yeah, like I say, a good time to look back on, but you've got to kind of move forward from that as a sportsman and just like not forget it, have good memories of it. But I want more than that as well. At the same time, I want to go on and hopefully win a tournament. So that's my kind of ambitions now, is to try and win a tournament at some stage, whether it be this season, next season. That's my goal.
Well, let's definitely hope that happens, because I mean, you've definitely got the talent, because the World Snooker Tour. Oh, sorry, I forgot the tournament. I feel that's bad, isn't it? Sorry.
Don't worry about it. I forget the tournaments myself. I don't even know where I'm going half the time.
So, of course, that, you know, the talent is definitely there, because you did make that amazing 147 maximum break at the World Snooker Tour Pro Series at the end of this season.
All right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering, when you're making a 147 breaks, you've made 3 in your career, what's the feeling when you are making that break, and maybe like an 80, 90, and, you know, you can see this could be a maximum? What's the feeling you're getting through your body?
It depends. It all depends on what tournament it is and what stage of that tournament or who's there. I mean, obviously with that one you're referring to in the Pro Series, the one just gone, there was no atmosphere, there was no crowd or anything. It was, not to disrespect the tournament in any way, but it wasn't really like a proper ranking tournament. It was like group stages, and it was kind of, basically, if you want to be blunt about it, it was like a filler event, because obviously the times we've been going through the last year or so, the event's been all messed up and you don't know what's going on. And it was more of a filler event just to try and get players playing in some extra tournaments and extra prize money, which is great. It's what we need, you know. But yeah, there was, like I say, there was no crowd or atmosphere in that one. It was actually a funny story. I done a little interview last week telling this story. I'll briefly tell it again about that maximum, because I was actually quite proud of it in one sense, but in another, not really bothered. Yeah. And the reason I was quite proud of it in one way was because I actually turned up to the tournament on the morning, like 10:15. The session started at 10 o'clock. I've turned up and I've come down and everyone's wearing their waistcoats and all ready to go. And I've come in my shirt and pants, and I'm thinking, why is everyone wearing a waistcoat here? So the referee's come over and he's gone, have you got your waistcoat, Gary? I didn't think we were wearing waistcoats. I've read the thing wrong, basically. And normally it said something like no bow tie or anything like that. And normally when that's the case, it's like an open collared shirt and pants and shoes. And I've just read it wrong. I've not read it properly. And it's not like me. I'm normally quite good with stuff like that. I've come down and realised like instantaneously that, oh no, I haven't got a waistcoat and everybody's supposed to wear one, and I didn't bring one or anything. It's down in Milton Keynes. It's not like it's round the corner. I'm 4 hours away, so I can't exactly just nip out and get one either. Luckily at MK Dons though, it's like a retail park just outside. So there's a Marks and Spencer's there. So I've nipped over to Marks and Spencer's, like at the speed of light, just ran over. Referee Rob Spencer's come along with us with his bank card, because I've got no money on us or anything, obviously. And he's gone, don't worry, I'll pay for it if we can go and get one. So I've run over, I've told the woman, look, I've got like 10 minutes. I need a waistcoat. Any waistcoat will do. She's ran upstairs, she's come back down, bless her. She's go, will that do? I went, I don't care what it looks like, as long as it fits roughly on us, that'll do, yeah. So I've quickly hied it on. It fits all right. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. Rob's went, don't worry about it, just get yourself back across, I'll pay for it. So bless him, he was there at the till paying for me waistcoat for us. And I've ran back across with like 2 minutes to spare. So I'm in basically the rest of the day. I'm playing all the matches with the wrong waistcoat on. I'm feeling, as a snooker player, you need to feel comfortable, because the dress code's quite restrictive anyway. Obviously, it's known that you're always playing shirts and waistcoats and bow ties. To play a sport like snooker, where it's very technical and it can be quite restrictive to wear that kind of stuff unless it feels comfortable and it's just to your size kind of thing, you know. And I did feel a bit uncomfortable, so I'm wearing the wrong waistcoat, and it turned out my tip was knackered as well. It was all like, it was. I thought it was actually my cue. I just had alterations done to my cue, and I had three quarters of an inch taken off my cue. And anyone who plays knows that that's massive. Like you can't just get used to that straight away. It takes a little bit of fine tuning and getting used to. And I thought I'd actually ruined my cue, because there was no reaction in the cue anymore. I was playing screw back shots and things like that, and there was no spin getting on the ball properly. So I'm playing with the wrong waistcoat. My cue feels like it's knackered, and it turned out my tip was actually broken. It was like a piece of rubber. It just wasn't even like reacting properly or anything. And I'm playing throughout the day with this, and then it comes to that 147, and obviously I'm going through the break playing certain shots. And I'm thinking, I don't know how I'm going to play these shots because the tip's just not allowing us to do it, or the cue, whatever I thought it was at the time. And luckily I got through it, and it was a funny one. Yeah. Normally you get on a break like that, and when you get to like obviously 30, 40, 50 on a 147, you're sort of getting bang up for it, and you're really like,
yeah.
That was weird. That was like, I knew it was on from the third black because I'd split the reds open beautifully, and you couldn't have asked for a better chance. But more than anything, I was thinking, this is such a great chance. If I don't do it now, I'm going to look really silly, and I'm going to feel really silly as well, because people don't know like what I'm thinking at the same time. My cue's knackered and stuff, and I don't even think I can play a shot properly. So I was actually quite proud of like getting through that and being able to do that. But with no crowd or atmosphere or anything, it was just a bit flat. Obviously, the last ball's potted and the referee says, well done. Liam, my opponent, just says, yeah, well done. And I just sort of sat back in the chair, and I was weirdly still disappointed because I was things wrong. Like I said, my cue didn't feel right or anything, and I've just made a 147. But I didn't get any money for it neither. So that's another thing. I sat down, and I knew there was no sort of prize for the 147 or anything, which, being honest, is pretty disgraceful, I think. I think in any tournament that is run by World Snooker, Matchroom or anything like that on the tour, if you get a 147, there should be some sort of prize for it, mind. That's just my personal opinion. So yeah, it was just a bit flat, but I was proud of it in one sense. Very weird.
Well, not many people can make them, but it's unfortunate about the prize money. 20 years ago, if it was a tournament, it would have been a lot of money. But at the end of the day, it's still a 147. And I just wanted, I know we're coming up to time, but I just wanted, if you would mind talking, just giving a bit of background about the dinosaur haircut you had about a year and a bit ago. Yeah. I was just interested in what was the backstory behind that.
Yeah, I've never heard that one, the dinosaur one. We used to call it the back hawk. But yeah, dinosaur is a good one. I might use that. It just all came about really from me and Elliot Slesser, the other player who plays now in the club that we play at Paul Rinaldi's in Northeast Snooker Centre. We used to just have a bit banter. We're good pals off the table as well, and we had a bit banter about a film called Kickboxer with Jean-Claude Van Damme. And there's a guy, and obviously he fights at the end, Tong Po, the Thai bloke. He's just basically got a bald head with a big black ponytail coming out of it.
Yeah.
And we love like them sort of films and things, and we were just having a bit banter about that. And he goes, it would be marginal if you just started growing like a Tong Po or something. And I go, well, I suppose I can't grow it around the sides and the back. I've got nothing on the top, but I can grow it around the sides and the back. Yeah. And I thought, I might just do a daft ponytail then for the crack. With no sort of bet, it was no sort of like anything like that. It was just something to do. There's a bit of a laugh because we were getting bored, really.
Yeah.
And it started, obviously I went down the hairdressers and just asked for the back to just all be left, like a big patch down there, thinking, oh, well, how do I make this look half decent? And that sounds stupid, half decent, but how do I make this look normal, as normal as it can be? Like in the preparation for turning it into a ponytail, and I thought, well, I'll just do like a hawk at the back. I can't grow one on the top, so I'll just grow it at the back instead. And just do it loads of different colours until it's long enough to sort of put into a bit of a ponytail. And that's how it started, really. I just done it like red and green and yellow and stuff. And then once it was long enough, I went back to the hairdressers. This is a guy I've used for years when I actually did have hair, so he knew I was a bit daft. I used to have all sorts of silly hairstyles. And I told him what I was going to do, and he was like, you're joking. He goes, well, I'm not putting this on my website and nothing like that, because I went, no, don't worry about it. I says, just put it in a ponytail on. By the way, dye it black as well. So he just dyed it for us and put it in a ponytail. And I used to start putting the bobbles in of the colours of like the flags that we used to go to. So I'd go to like the Indian Open with like an orange, white and green bobble in, just to make it sort of, just for each country, just make it something different. Yeah, just a phase I went through. Getting a bit bored, really, and that's how it all went. And people were starting to notice it, and for the right or wrong reasons. But I was in like extra magazines and the snooker magazines and stuff just because of my hairstyle. I hadn't done anything in a tournament particularly, but yeah, it's extra publicity, good or bad, isn't it? Really, I suppose. So,
yeah, that's quite a cool story.
Yeah, something daft might come along sooner or later again. You never know. I tend to go through phases like that.
Yeah, just wanted to know, how do you handle stress and pressure in snooker? I was just wondering, because I know sports personality, it's sometimes stuff gets put away and stuff. I was just wondering how you handle it.
Right. Yeah. So I guess it's just something I think half of it is something you're kind of born with. You're having that sort of kind of mentality that you're just naturally good at handling them kinds of situations, I guess. And I'd say the other half is just experience. Everybody kind of fails, and you've got to just learn. I mean, that's all everyone's got to do. Whether you're better at handling them situations or not quite as good at them situations as other people, I think in a roundabout way, you can't beat hard work, and you can't beat just determination to keep on going. If you do get beaten, you do fail, because that will override a lot of things. Everybody fails, everybody keeps getting beaten, everybody keeps feeling like they don't want to do it anymore and just giving up. But you've just got to keep plugging in. It is the major cliche. You've just got to keep plugging away and going and going. And at the end of the day, the biggest thing of it is, if you're determined enough and you do believe deep down, and you have to believe, mind, if you don't and you're doubtful that you're actually good enough, or you're doubtful that you're actually capable of doing it, that's the main thing for me. You've got to believe. If you believe deep down you're good enough and you deserve to be doing what you want to do, nothing will stop you as long as you carry on trying. You will get there eventually. And for me, it was just a case of doing that. And when you get to a point where you have failed that many times, which I had done, and still failing all the time, you're always going to fail. You're going to lose more than you win. The same in most sports, unfortunately. There's more lows than there is highs. But handling the pressure comes into all of that, because for me, having all them failures, it almost gives you a sense of, I don't even care anymore, but in the right way, for the right reasons. You don't care in the sense that all that pressure kind of tends to alleviate from you, and you just sort of play the game. It's very hard to describe, but it's one of them sort of feelings where you care and you're trying your best, but you don't care about the outcome. Whereas you used to care about the outcome too much, and that's where pressure comes from. You're caring too much about what's happening, and you just freeze. And experience is the only thing really that sort of takes that away. And like I say, from me, it's more that you just don't care anymore for the right reason. Yeah. It's the best way I can try and describe it, really.
Yeah, thanks. I think that's a good thing, because I think people, in many sports, there's going to be stress, there's going to be pressure. But I think if you can find a way to cope about it, I think that's a brilliant way, like you've said. And thanks for saying that as well. Yeah,
it wasn't sort of a conscious way for me. Anyway, you can be told of other people how to deal with these things, but you've got to go through your own experience. And that's what experiences is. It's your own finding your way to deal with them situations. And like I say, for me, it was just, that was my personal way of looking at it, was I don't care anymore, but I do care, if you know what I mean. It's like a subconscious thing. Yeah. It's nothing you can teach. Just got to go through it like everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've just got the penultimate question here. And I was just wondering, for someone who's maybe at a younger age, listening to this, really has the ambition, and drive to become a professional, what is one thing that you'd say to them to push their drive into becoming, hopefully, a professional?
Probably just like what I've just said a few moments ago, the same sort of things, really reiterating that. If you believe you're good enough and it's really what you want to do, they're the two main things. Once you've got that and you do truly believe in yourself, then it's just about hard work. Do everything you can to do the best for yourself, whether that be, like I say, in snooker, whether that be sort of practicing as many hours as you can around other parts of your life that are important, whether it be school or get the basics out of the way. I wanted to get GCSEs done, and that was me finished, but I had to get that out of the way.
And just finished them.
Happy days, yeah. Are you going on to A-levels and things?
Just A-levels now, and then hopefully university maybe after, if I'm lucky enough.
Right, yeah. Well, there you are. So you've obviously got a good grounding, and you need that.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what you're doing. So for me, it was like get the school out the way, and then it was concentrate on the snooker. And I truly believed I was good enough to do well in the game one day, whether that be in a year or two or 10 years. I knew I was capable. So just hard work. Just practice as much as you can. Do the right things. Practice the right things. Listen to the right people. And it's all about just making decisions about who these people are that you want to sort of listen to and hang around with and learn from. And just good guidance, good preparation, and just work really hard. That's all I could ever really say.
Yeah, thanks for that. And the final question I've ended all the previous episodes with is, what does success mean to you?
Changes as you get older, and I don't want to sound old, but you mellow as you do get older, and I'm not really even that old neither. It sounds depressing to say that I'm 35 years old, but I'd probably say the last number of years, I would say success means to me having a comfortable living, being happy with family, being happy with basically life. You don't necessarily have to be successful in that you're winning things and necessarily fulfilling all the ambitions that you want to fill, because I certainly haven't done that yet. Hopefully will fulfill a few, but I think as you get older, you accept more that success is just being happy.
Yeah,
basically. If I'm earning a decent living and I'm playing the game that I like playing for a living, and I'm healthy, my family's healthy, and I'm living in a house, sort of not carefree, but not worrying about things.
Yeah, definitely.
That's success to me. You know, anything higher than that is a bonus.
Yeah,
and that's the way I looked at it when I got back on the tour the second time. Was just I knew I was capable of making a living out of the game. Once I'd done that, that's sort of job done in a sense, and anything after that's a bonus. And it's more now for me concentrating on my ambitions snooker wise, not sort of worrying about making a living. Yeah, so being happy to put it in a nutshell. Yeah.
Well, thanks for that, Gary. And it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. It's to Snooker and I, look up to the players. It's been absolutely amazing to have the chance to interview as well. So thanks a lot for coming on and giving up your time today.
No problem. It's a great name, by the way, Chatfield. I can't believe you've ended up doing podcasts with that name. It's very fitting for you.
Yeah, I do like to chat mind all through my life. That's been my.
Some would say you must have done this on purpose because of your surname or something. But is it actually something you've wanted to do for quite a while, or?
I've always wanted to just interview people and stuff. I've always been chatty, and I just thought, let's just do a podcast, and just interview different people, know their backgrounds, and just
fair play to you. I love anything like that where people are doing what they want to do and getting out there and asking, and major respect for that. And hope you do well, mate.
Cheers. Thank you. And thanks everyone for listening to the podcast. Don't forget to follow and subscribe, and also follow Gary's Twitter, and I'll put it in the description of all the podcast episodes. Thanks a lot, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Goodbye.